All right, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us for our STEMpossible webinar series collaboration with MindLabs. My name is Amanda Glover, and I'm a professional development manager on the EIE team, and I am joined by some amazing STEMinists here tonight. I have Amanda Thompson and Monica. Monica, I apologize, I can't see your last name fully there, but I will let them go ahead and take over and introduce themselves.
Yes, thank you, Amanda Glover. This is Amanda Thompson, but today I'll be known as Dr. Pixel. I'm just coming out of my lab today to come talk to you guys a little bit about troubleshooting and how to make troubleshooting fun and exciting and use it as a great tool for learning with your children or students. And I am so happy to have with us our collaborator from Purdue University, Dr. Monica Cardella, who also is currently serving a role inside the National Science Foundation. So welcome, Monica, as well. We are going to have kind of an interactive session. So if you have a chance or have had a chance to download the MindLabs Energy and Circuit app, there will be several opportunities to actually interact with the augmented reality components. So our session today was titled around how to use emerging technologies to make STEM experiences possible at home. And so that will be through this app that we're talking about today. So I wanted to start by giving Amanda back the microphone a minute and say, to tell her you a little bit how the Museum of Science came to think that MindLabs and the work that we're doing at MindLabs aligns great with their EDP process. Amanda?
Absolutely. Thank you, Amanda. This is going to be fun.
You can call me Dr. Pixel today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pixel. I appreciate the passover of the mic. So this is an example of the 5-step engineering design process that the EIE curricula, which is the curricula division of the Museum of Science Boston, uses. And so essentially what we do is we ask educators and students to engage in these steps as they try to develop a solution to a problem, some problem that they see around the world, by asking and imagining solutions, planning out through a diagram, and then based on their plan, creating and improving their designs. And we categorize these designs as technologies, and it doesn't have to be something electronic necessarily, but something that helps them solve the problem that they've identified.
Wonderful, thank you, Amanda G. So we really believe in that process as well, the engineering design process, and where we think the augmented reality and the work that we've been doing with Monica is a couple of places around the engineering design process. So first with our first webinar, and if you've missed it, you can still access the materials of that via a link that we'll give you in the end. But we talk about how augmented reality can give early engineers a good start and kind of boost some confidence, have a lot of fun at the outset, especially with some of the materials in circuits can be kind of challenging for little hands at first. So that's what we talked about last session. And this session, we're talking about troubleshooting and how to use the practice of troubleshooting to help engage your kids and learn new concepts about circuits. So that's where we have Dr. Cardella, and her work has really focused in that area. And then if you're interested in following up with us, next week we'll talk about how we can use digital platforms such as AR to enhance authentic design practice and align with how engineers really do things out there. The bonus part about the MindLabs app is that you are actually able to allow your students or children to collaborate remotely with students and children in other locations. So that's something that's kind of fallen by the wayside right now, is those collaborative STEM activities that we all love. And so that's kind of going to be a topic covered next time. So just to give you a glimpse of what it looks like, the Museum of Science have these great circuits that really are circuit-based exercises and hands-on activities that really align well with the teaching, practice, and design of possible inside of our augmented reality app. And the app is accompanied by a game set called Energy and Circuit. So we'll show you how that works as we go. All right, so for today, we're going to be talking through the key steps of troubleshooting, and Monica's here to walk us through that. and the work that they've done there. Then we'll apply it to troublemakers in circuits and review some of the resources that will be available to you by the end of the session. Here is a picture of our villain, and this is Dr. Stonebreaker. And the kids like to debate whether he's a robot or a man, and he's kind of half. And so he's here to cause trouble for our kids to fix up. So that's kind of the setting or the motivation that we use in the app. And the lesson plans that we have associated with the app is to give kids sort of this evil force to combat or give a chance to do good for the villagers. So Monica, I'm going to hand it over to you to get us started in troubleshooting and those key steps.
All right, thank you, Dr. Pixel. Again, my name is Monica Cardella, and I am a professor and researcher at Purdue University, which means that I get to teach undergraduate engineering students. I get to work with amazing graduate students, but I also spend a lot of time working with K-12 teachers, working with science museums, and hanging out with kids. And so the things I'll be sharing come from research that I worked on with some of my graduate students, but I also want to acknowledge a lot of our ideas are building on the work of David Chrisman. So you'll see his name in the second article there. So I'm going to talk through 4 steps to troubleshooting, 4 kind of sets of questions that the app helps kids to think about, and that you as teachers and parents could also help kids to think about. Part of the engineering design process is making something, but then also testing it to see if there's ways that it can be improved. And so that's where the troubleshooting really comes in, is when kids test out their ideas and realize, oh, it's not working quite as great as I was hoping. So then kids can start by thinking about, well, what is it that isn't working, or where is the problem? And so that's the observe part of troubleshooting. After that, they can move on to diagnosing. And so figuring out, well, what is it that might be causing the problem, or what is it that's causing it to not work as great as I had imagined or hoped it would. After diagnosing, then they move on to explaining. So in the explain step, there could be further explaining what it was that was causing the problem, but also shifting into building on those explanations of what they have seen, but also bringing in the science, math, even social studies or other things that they know, what changes could be made. So in some cases, they might almost be developing a version of a hypothesis of explaining, we think we might be able to make this change because we know this from our other science or math or language arts or social studies. And then finally, after coming up with that idea of what to change and why they think that makes sense to change it that way, then they would fix it. They would use that information, use those hypotheses to make the change. And so that's how those 4 different steps fit together. Certainly after making that fix or making that change, then it makes sense to move back to the observe step again and check to see, okay, well, let's see, is it working now? Is it doing what you thought it would do? Or should we go through the cycle another time? And so working through this process then allows students to practice and apply scientific principles. But again, as I said before, also it could be math or social studies or language arts or other things. I think without stepping through the process, kids are more likely to just try to observe and fix. And that can lead to a lot of time that's wasted. It could lead to going down different rabbit trails or whatnot. Here in this quote, you'll see that we're saying it can be unfocused. Whereas what we see with practicing engineers or people who have more experience with design, they're able to be more focused on what the critical problem is, and then both be faster and more efficient and more effective when they are trying to fix the problem.
Okay, so and at this point, we wanted to kind of actually go over some very specific trouble that the kids might run into when they're observing a circuit. So this is a place where I can call you if you have had a chance to download the app. If you open up the app into what we call the create space, you have an open build area where circuits can be put together, but also what can be done is the students can look at the set of cards that they have available to them. And with the cards, they can observe these principles in action. So if you have a tablet or a phone where you've downloaded the device and you point your phone at the screen, that would simulate what would happen if you pointed it at one of our little cards here, like Amanda's doing it. Yes, thank you, Amanda, demonstrating. Then you'll see this card come to life and truly animate the idea of what a closed circuit is. So one of the, in the last session that we did, and it's not required to have been at the last session, but we talked a lot about this idea of a closed circuit and how it's one of the key elements that must hold true for a circuit to work properly. And so in the example here, and even on the card, we have examples of problematic circuits, and these are these little other icons here. So here would be a circuit that's not closed because there's not this complete loop that's described here in the closed circuit definition. So for this particular tiny little circuit to be fixed, we need a wire to connect to the other side of the battery and the long side here of the LED for that light to light up as we show here. So again, if you're looking at that in the app, you'll see that particular card animate and show you that. And we'll look at some, if you didn't get the app, I also have a couple slides here that will show you this animation as well and what that might look like. But these little cards that you can use to give these nuggets of information may be static when the kids are away from the app and still looking at the cards, but they can have that animation of the principle playing in their little brains as they look at it. So here's would be another example of a circuit that was not closed properly. So you might think, oh, there's a complete loop here, but the loop doesn't include both terminals of the battery. And so again, that's another opportunity to talk about some vocab and think about what a terminal is and what that means to close a circuit with including both terminals of the battery. So one troubleshooting item to look for is whether or not the circuit has been closed or if there's an opening in the circuit. So one of the troubles that Dr. Stonebreaker, I guess we're either evil or good, the doctors here, is open circuits. So Monica, let's look at and role play a little bit how troubleshooting might work for our second type of potential problems within a circuit. So Monica's going to play the parent and I'm going to play the student as we work through an example exercise.
All right, so Amanda, what do you notice with your circuit?
Well, I was trying to get my circuit to light up, Professor Cardella, but I just couldn't get it to light up. So I just see that my light is not lit up and I want it to work.
What do you think's not working?
Well, I know I need a closed circuit and I see that it has a complete loop and that my complete loop has both sides of the battery, but maybe it doesn't have both sides of the light bulb. And if it doesn't have both sides of the light bulb, maybe the energy doesn't go into the light bulb. It just goes right back to the battery.
Okay, so Amanda, you think that maybe part of the problem is that it's not on both sides of the light bulb. And so you were explaining that part of it is that you might need it to be connecting to both of those for the energy to go through. Is there, what else do you think is going on here?
Well, I think we talked about this before, and that maybe it's not an open circuit, but maybe it's a short circuit. And we would have worked through with the kids what the short circuit was, right? So the kids could diagnose with a vocabulary word what the problem is as well. And so they know from this card again that a short circuit can be dangerous because the energy is flowing on this path. So I might say, I have a short circuit. If I have that vocab, if I haven't yet established it, it's something that can be built as they work through these specific exercises. You see it running, Amanda? Okay. All right. So again, Monica did notice that I stumbled a little bit into the explain path. So, right.
And so what, Amanda, what do you think you need to do next with your circuit?
Yeah, well, I think that the problem with my circuit is that it has the energies flowing on this path that I didn't ask it to. Okay, so, and I'm going to animate this little card. This is what the card would look like that the students would be observing. And so my path of energy that I didn't want it to go in, my unintended energy path is here. So what I'd want to do perhaps to fix it is maybe I would take off that wire and I put a new wire in here so that the energy that I have has to flow through the light bulb and back out so that my new path goes through the light.
Okay, so Amanda, is it working now?
Well, if I plugged it in my MindLabs app, my light bulb would indeed light up if I fixed it like this. So that's the great thing. And we have a little video that shows an example of how the kids would work through this. And the benefits of them getting to do this sort of thing in AR is that they also can have the opportunity to actually engage in some dangerous behavior without getting into trouble. And we see this all the time when kids play with the app, is that they want to see, oh, and how are all the different ways I can put it together actually purposely to create a short circuit, but it helps them know how to look for that in their own circuits. And so some of the other circuit, or if you're working with some of the materials, like the Museum of Science has the one that we've worked with a lot, it's called Light Up the Night in their Engineering Adventures set, use LEDs a lot and squishy circuits. And so I wanted to show some places where using LEDs particularly can cause some short circuits that you potentially don't intend to have, and things that you can watch out for if you are using squishy circuits. So imagine that this battery is connected to the red arrows and the black arrows of each of these little mini circuits here. So when we're looking at these, we'd have to say be able to understand what is going wrong with the circuit if it isn't performing what we want to. And what we'd have you recognize is drawing that energy path. We would see, oh, my energy paths, if they go away. Let me see here. Oh, no, it's okay. The energy path of this is that instead of going up in the light bulb, if your legs cross over, then the energy never gets up to the light bulb. So when my little one was playing with some LED robot pieces, her LED legs would cross over and the energy would never go into the LED. With squishy circuits, if the LEDs are placed such that there's the Play-Doh between the two legs, the energy runs straight between the two legs and never goes into the light, or not enough goes into the LEDs to actually trigger their light. Or if another thing that can happen a lot with LEDs is if they're laying on top of each other, the same thing can happen. The energy never has to go into the light. It can create a short. Another place where shorts can happen really easily is with little battery packs that have wires out of them. I know at our house, we kind of let those kind of lay around and start to smell something hot and realize that we're melting our battery pack because the wires have set on top of each other or something. So just a lot of things to watch out for and look for as your kids are working through the troubleshooting. I wanted to talk to, I see that Becky has posted that she was, so Becky, when you have the app, I'll kind of trigger on screen to say, this is what you can look at with your app to get an image. And I'll just pull up one actually really quick. So if you have your app open, what you would do is point it at this circuit card, and the circuit card would be animated inside of this. If you click to the create space, you would see this circuit card animate. And we'll have another opportunity to actually do a little troubleshooting here in just a second with the app as well. Okay, so we walked through two examples of trouble that can be caused in a circuit to watch out for. And there's obviously other reasons that your circuits won't work. but we have 30 minutes of your precious time. And so there's a couple other things that you can find actually in the guide that we're going to post. So there's some information on orientation, but also you always have to worry about your pieces not being defective. So if you use a 9-volt battery with an LED, poof, your LED burns out, right? And it's just dead. It'll never come back to life, which can be very stressful for kids as well. So those are some things to look for. Okay, so one of the other things that we wanted to show you is this troubleshooting in action with kids. So here's a kid working through some of the steps of the troubleshooting process as she explains it to one of her friends.
What's going on with that one? This one can't work because this goes through this circle and totally skips this light. Okay. And this light doesn't even connect, so we could change this to this longer cord. But we have another thing. This, then we attach this here.
She realizes she has one long cord, so she should take it to a farther away light bulb.
Is the green one lighting? Why is the green one working?
The green one's working because it's totally skipping this one now. So it's going in a circle. So now if we just connect this, there, okay, fix here. Move that over there. There, it works.
Not sure where was it
now
going?
it's like this. So the battery is moving all the way through all these things.
So I transitioned from troubleshooting at home with some circuits to what it would look like inside of the app. The app is totally targeted around finding how to fix circuits that aren't working. So we're going to look at what I'm going to show you here is exactly that circuit that the children were working on with one LED working at first and the other not, is exactly what you'll see here inside the app in the AR version. So this is what it would look like on your screen.
This is part of your training in troubleshooting circuits. A closed circuit is a path that electrical energy can flow through in a loop.
Here's that circuit that you saw the kids working with before, and you can fix it by connecting the 2 LEDs there or going all the way like she did here. Either of those would be correct solutions in the app. So one of the things that's true about troubleshooting, and Monica, you can probably speak to this as well, is that setting these up for kids to work on in the physical space is pretty difficult and very time consuming. So just setting up 2 or 3 of those for the little ones to work on probably took me an hour for one set of kids. So it can be really, it's a great way to learn, but it's really difficult to set up in a physical space. And that's why we focused on it in the augmented reality setting. Monica, do you have any color on that, like the ability to execute troubleshooting in the classroom?
Right. So yeah, so as you were saying, it takes time to set it up, and then also you need to have the materials, and sometimes that can be a limiting factor. You were mentioning the short circuits earlier, and so if you have the LEDs, it's really easy to burn out the LEDs, and so one short circuit and then that LED is not working anymore, and so to keep replacing those parts can also be challenging. So yeah. Again, the physical experiences, those can be great. Kids love to touch things, but the AR opportunities can really augment that well.
Wonderful. So so we help the kids learn troubleshooting by working on thwarting Dr. Stonebreaker. So inside the app, here's just a brief map out of what's there. There's 5 lesson segments that correspond with the lesson plan that I'll tell you how to get that delivered to you here at the end. And each of these topics has 4 to 6 different exercises associated with them where you can practice. And the switches, we think of those more as moving towards a little bit more towards engineering design and objective. So using switches to help achieve an objective that you're interested in. The last thing that we wanted to cover here, and Monica's going to take over again here, is how if you're, we know that STEM a lot of times at the young ages has to be well integrated with the other subject matter that you're tackling in elementary school classroom. So Monica, do you want to tell us a little bit about using this inside of the writing process?
Yeah, so absolutely. So as Amanda was saying, we recognize that while STEM is great and we love STEM, also writing is important. It's important for kids to have opportunities to practice those skills just in their own right. But then again, also for STEM, it's important that people can communicate their ideas. And so we have some templates to share with you about how troubleshooting can be used in conjunction with writing. And these templates could be used in all these different technologies we have listed here. It could be just in a normal paper notebook. It could be part of Google Slide. It could be using the Nearpod Draw. I know a lot of schools these days are using Notability, or Kami is another option for kids annotating PDFs. So if we go to the next slide. So here is what the template looks like. So here we would ask the kids to include a screenshot or a drawing of what they're working on. And then in each of these different boxes, just write about what is it that they observe, what is it that they are seeing as the problem, what's their diagnosis, and then some explanation about why that's a problem and what they need to do next and why, and then finally how they fixed it. And so if we move to the next slide, we have an example of this. So another circuit that has some problems. In this case, the problem is a short circuit. And so that would be, the kids would start by observing what's not working right with this circuit. We move to the next one. You can see that a possible response, maybe kids are writing about how they observe that their LED isn't lighting up. And then they think the problem is that this is a short circuit. They've got some drawings here of the problem and then how they might fix it. They're explaining there's a wire between the legs of my LED, so the energy that takes that path because it's easiest. And then you could fix it by removing the wire. The LED lit up and my circuit was fixed. So if you're homeschooling or if you're a parent working with your kid, giving them extra opportunities to write can be helpful, but even more so if you're a teacher in a classroom, it can be hard to have one-on-one conversations with 20 or 25 individual students, asking them to write about what they're seeing and how they're explaining what the problem is and how to fix it is a way for you to give them feedback both on their understanding of circuits, their understanding of the troubleshooting process, but then again, also just their writing skills.
Wonderful. So yes, as Monica mentioned, these will be available. These are already available in the links that we'll point you to by the end of today. Another thing, I think that troubleshooting also can be leaned on as, oh, this is a very technical skill. But when you think about troubleshooting at its core, it's really a skill that's used across many different career types. From your doctor being one, right? So the doctor, you come in and your body's not working the way you want it to, and you have to troubleshoot what the problem is with that, do some diagnostics, try to understand, explain, and fix it. To kids often will know that term from talking about the cable provider or somebody like that coming in to troubleshoot their internet connections, or an auto mechanic. So it really runs the gamut across different careers. So it just applies a lot. So we're running near the end here, but this will be available for you to try as well. But inside augmented reality, and this will go to the question in the pod as well, for the challenges, what you need is to go into the menu and select one of the challenges and simply aim your device at the atom card once you're inside the challenge. And you can try one of the short circuit challenges. And I'm going to post this here so everyone can see it here. And this is available to you to give a try at it at home as well. So you can work through different challenges and see how to solve them using this card, which would be what is included with the different sets. So that the Adam and Ann cards are the sort of main characters that drive the experience inside the app. So if you're interested in more, there's actually quite a bit you can do, because we know it's a kind of a big lift to get from I've never done AR before to AR. So there's an opportunity to sign up on the website to get directed to a free demo that includes the instructions and some simple cards that you can use to get started. So I can point you to the website to try that. On the website, you'll also find lots of our different resources, including additional Dr. Pixel videos. And here we also have available the learning slides and ability to subscribe, and the set as well as it's packaged as a game set. We're also asking you today, if you have a moment, I know we're right up at 7:30, to help us with the ability to get some future funding for our research and work. And for in return, we want to raffle off, if you will, a free MindLabs game set. So in the chat right now, there's a link to the survey, both the resources that are available as well as the survey. And in the survey, if you can complete it by midnight tonight, so several hours available, you will have a chance to win this free game set. And it gives us a sense of how familiar you are with troubleshooting and how motivated you would be to use it in your classroom. So I just want to close to say that we have our materials available. The Museum of Science, of course, has wonderful things associated with their engineering elementary curriculum set, including classroom materials and kits and face-to-face, as well as virtual units. And just to mention that ours are also very, very compatible with virtual learning, as you are, I know many of us are facing that with our children or our students. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for coming, and we hope that you find the resources that we've provided useful, and this was a fun night for you. So we sure had a great time. Monica and Amanda?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Let's make STEM possible together. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.